All right, folks, we are back. I'm your host, BKP 907, Thursday morning. It is 60 degrees here in LJ, and the temperature's creeping up, and it's been a little cool in the mornings, all right? And let me just explain, let's see what this comment is. Oh, all right. It's humorous, the hate. I'm sorry, I just look at comments, and it's humorous, the hate that people have. I probably should say in their heart. Wow. I just read a comment where it was very ugly. Not towards me, but just very ugly. Wow. All right, before we get started, did we show everybody how they can contact the show 24/7? Right there you go, 706-889-9700. And there are all the social media ways, and the temperature, obviously, 908. So, folks, before we get into, and so many of you, and I'll just say you could care less, but before we get into... I didn't pull the pictures of our next subject of the morning. You have the Georgia State, if you're out there nationally, you have the Georgia State GOP, okay, convention this weekend in Savannah. Now, sadly, you have Bruce Alvarados. I think that's his name. I don't want to get it wrong. He's a great guy. Bruce is a great guy. I think it's Alvarados or Alvaravos. Outstanding guy. He's running for GOP chair in the state of Georgia. I don't know that he will make it, but the two people running for GOP chair, Scott Johnson, is that his name? I'll make sure I got it right here. Scott Johnson and David Schaefer. David Schaefer is formerly a senator, Senator David Schaefer. And he ran for Lieutenant Governor of Georgia, and he lost to Lieutenant Governor Jeff Duncan. So Scott Johnson is Duncan's pick. He is his man he's putting in this weekend, and David Schaefer are going to go at it in Savannah. I do not. I don't think it's a good use of the company's money for hotels and take staff down to do interviews and equipment, and just don't think it's a good use of our money to follow Republicans to Savannah. National conventions, yes, but not the state convention. There'll be enough of the Atlanta media there, and I know enough of the Georgia Republican delegates and the parties to get all of the rumors and the gossip and find out all the votes and who is going to be the next GOP chair of Georgia. It's nasty out there. The sun is not shining on the GOP in Georgia. I got to bring you that bad news. It's not. Sadly, they're eating their own right now. Now, I'm not going to take up for a side or go against the side, but they are eating their own. Okay, I'm radical. I'm radical as hell, right? You know that, okay? I mean, I go places and the first thing somebody will say to me is, what are you here to start trouble about? What the hell? But, okay, fine, I get it. I'm radical as hell. If I'm going after something, I go after it, okay? But so when I say this, there's a radical side to the Republican Party that is they have such a tunnel vision, okay? The vision is just so narrow that they cannot see. They're like mules that plow with blinders. I'm sorry to call them jackasses. Those are the Democrats. But the old horse, the plow horse that has blinders on, okay? These people will not let the facts get in the way of their agenda. They won't. And it is going to be ugly in Savannah. It's going to be nasty. To me, my prediction is this will be the worst Georgia Republican convention in modern times that I remember, okay? Because there's such a fraction within the party. And I say that fraction is, let me say this. We got on this yesterday, and let me get on it just a little more. By social media and the Atlanta media, and then you go into social media with the tunnel vision, they're not Republicans, the tunnel vision people, they act like that they really discovered something where David Ralston, the Speaker of the House, is concerned. They act like, man, we really discovered something. They've discovered nothing. This is David Ralston. This is his law practice. I'm just going to go back to 2000. We'll call it that. We know. I actually was at the Capitol. I think it was 3 years ago. 3 years ago when Clint Bearden, okay, a partner in Ralston's office, law office, was appointed to Superior Court judge. Okay, I was at the appointment. I got pictures of Amanda Messier, former Appalachian Judicial Circuit Superior Court judge, named to appeals court by Nathan Deal. I was there. I remember, was that 4 years ago now? Maybe. I'm not for sure. Somewhere around that, 3.5. I was there. They act like, this is 3 years, they act like, man, we have uncovered something. And then they got Super Derek, okay? And I'd really like to do some graphics with Super Derek. He's a nice enough guy, but don't try to convince me that Jeff Duncan, Lieutenant Governor, Super Derek, Scott Johnson, the other guy, let me say this. I want to pull this up, okay? This is important, okay? This is important. I'll find this. It won't take but a minute. All right? It won't take but a minute. Should be here. Just a second. Okay. Well, maybe I can't find it, but thought I would. I'll find it during the break. There's another name over in that area that, hold on just a second. I might have it here. I was busy reading nasty comments concerning other. All right, here we go. All right, I'll have to look up the email during the break. But as I was saying, there's, it's going to be nasty down there this weekend. You'll never convince me. All of a sudden, there's, Super Derek swoops in. Give me number 16, number 5. This is Super Derek, okay, former FBI agent and successful business owner. And Super Derek has swooped in, taken a leave of absence from his business and his family so he could save Georgia from David Ralston. And like we don't catch on. But the interesting thing is I'm watching the social media, and I don't want to bring your names up because, I don't want to go there. You don't need to have your names wrote up. But the people that keep sitting in the room of amazement, like these people found something on David Ralston. Really? Okay. So GOP is going to be nasty. Let's go to number 1. Okay, this is Jim Beck. Let's record this segment. This is Jim Beck. He is your current insurance commissioner. I have been looking at the internet. I don't know if he has resigned. The governor of Georgia, Governor Brian Kemp, has asked for his resignation. So I don't know the details if Jim Beck were to resign, okay? If he would, then the governor would then appoint somebody out of his office, maybe Josh McCoon, former state senator Josh McCoon, which is Beck's chief of staff there in the insurance commissioner's office. Maybe he would be appointed the insurance commissioner with a new election maybe a new election coming. So he has been asked. Now this picture, the reason I want to put this picture up, I cropped it out. You can see in the bottom right-hand corner, FYNTV. The Georgia Republican Assembly asked me over in, I think over in Hall County, but I'm not for sure. Kimberly Piles asked me from the Georgia Republican Assembly if I would moderate a debate on this Saturday morning during the Republican primary in the last election. Jim Beck was running at that time. Jim Flores, I think his name, was running. And go to the number 2. Jim Flores there in the center. And Tracy Jordan. Actually, she beat Flores, and she came very close to Beck. Very close. That being said, and that's me, I'm the only one that moderated the debate because people were saying this is a down ballot race. You get down ballot, and who cares? You get insurance commissioner, labor commissioner, you get Board of Education. So down ballot did not get a lot of publicity, but this is a debate. And I walked away and I came here and I told you there was several investigations going on. We told you here. Now, here's the thing you need to know that I'm going to tell you that I don't think anybody's talking about. Republicans knew Beck was going to be indicted. And that is troublesome to me, okay? And I'll tell you why, all right? Because I'm sitting there with these candidates, and the reason I got this picture up, I listen to these candidates, okay? Now, you may not know me very well, but I'm not being arrogant. When I moderate a debate and you're trying to figure out who to vote for, tune in, okay? We do a very professional debate, but we let the candidates get to rolling, and I insert questions in actually comments they make. Now, there's people out there that will tell you, see, this is the insurance commissioner and fire marshal. A lot of people don't realize that this office is also the state fire marshal, all right? There's someone that is in this office today that is involved with arson investigations. And I'm not going to mention no names. But there's someone in this office today that's involved with arson investigations in the state of Georgia that before this debate with these 3 candidates, I probably spent in about 3 phone calls, 2 hours on the phone with, taking notes, doing research. Okay? Then just for this hour and a half, I think this debate's an hour and a half, I probably personally have 3 or 4 hours of research, phone calls. I make sure I go through everything. I go through their campaign finance. I do my own research in my debates. So when I sit down with candidates, okay, and I won't sit down with them until I've done an appropriate amount of okay? That being said, now we came back here, and what I'm saying is I felt good to come back from that debate, not endorse, okay? I'm going to tell you today, Jim Flores, I met him there, okay? I think he's a nice guy. I thought he was way too close to Ralph Hudgens, the former insurance commissioner's office. I think I said to myself that Flores was too close to Ralph Hudgens. Ralph Hudgens, to me, made a mess, a total mess out of the insurance commissioner's office. And anyone that close and close to Blue Cross Blue Shield, I just throw that out there or whatever, in campaign finance probably shouldn't be the next insurance commissioner. So Jay Flores is a very nice guy. I really enjoyed him. If you listen to the debate, he's very knowledgeable. But I did not think he was the person to turn the insurance commissioner's office around. After this debate, I felt very sure that Jim Beck was not. After this debate, I came back and I started researching and I made some phone calls. And I was very clear. Now, I'm not endorsing. I'm just saying when I'm looking at candidates, I was like, I don't see where this guy is the guy for the job. Now, what Jim Beck, the Christian Coalition, or whatever, the support that he got from the evangelical community, and Jim Beck can tell a good joke. I'm serious as me. You can tell a good joke, okay? And I went to probably 10 things during the campaign that he was there, and he would, when he got his 15 minutes to talk, he told jokes. He was like he's doing stand-up on the Tonight Show. No joke. He would tell jokes like he's doing stand-up. And I really walked away not knowing what he would do as insurance commissioner. After this right here and some research, I just knew he wasn't the guy for the job. Now, not endorsing, I then spent a lot of time interviews on this show with Tracy Jordan. She's never run for office. A bright lady, very bright lady in this debate. I had her on the show several times, and I really felt out of the three, the individual that was going to go to the insurance commissioner's office and really get things turned around would possibly be Tracy Jordan. Now, that being said, there's two things in this that I want this recorded for a reason it's sent out. Republicans knew. Now, when I say Republicans knew, Brian Kemp was busy trying to become the next governor of Georgia. Jeff Duncan was busy trying to be nasty, run the dirtiest, despicable campaign in Georgia recent history, trying to become and be as dirty and backstabbing as he could be to become the next lieutenant governor of Georgia. So not a lot was put into this. But there's two things you got to take away. Obviously, with the indictments, he doesn't need to be insurance commissioner. But as of 5/15/2019, yesterday, on this day when it was the Republican primary, do you know how many Republicans knew this investigation was going on? Do you know how many Republicans around the state were whispering? I'm talking already elected officials, representatives, senators, people in the governor's office. Do you think Nathan Deal didn't know? Do you know how many Republicans knew this investigation was happening? Do you know how many Republicans knew in the general election this was happening? And it didn't get out like it should have? Oh, they knew all along he was going to be indicted. Two things. We elected an insurance commissioner that everybody on the, when I say everybody knew he was going to be indicted. I told you here. We talked about it here. Okay? But no, he got elected. And second, I told you right here on this show, I got the video. I came to you and I said, Georgia voters, the insurance commissioner slash fire marshal of the state of Georgia is very important, and it's a mess. It is a total mess. It was a disaster, okay? And Jim Beck was not the guy to turn it around. Josh, do you have that video? Now, this is not actually, let me go to two things, all right? I'm going to give you two numbers, Josh, and then I'm going to tell you, I want to do 16 minutes and 15 seconds in. Write that down. I'm not ready to do it yet. 16 minutes and 15 seconds in. 52 minutes and 43 seconds in. Okay? Now, hold on to that. Now, you will have to do, sorry to put it this way, your own reading on this, okay? But let's just use this one. There's a lot of them out there. Let me double check, make sure Jim, all you got to do is put in Jim Beck. Let me just make sure that he hasn't resigned and we haven't got it. No, we have the letter. We have the letter when basically Brian Kemp says, get your ass out of the office. Kemp asks insurance commissioner, blah, blah, blah. Kemp calls for indicted insurance commissioner to resign. Georgia Christian Wright had a bad week. Okay, Georgia insurance commissioner indicted on fraud. So we don't see where he is actually picked up, okay? his briefcase, put his pictures in there off the desk, and left. So we'll go back to the Gwinnett Daily Post. Georgia Insurance Commissioner Jim Beck, go ahead and put up, yeah, leave that one there. Jim Beck indicted, surrenders to FBI, okay? A federal grand jury has indicted Georgia Insurance and Fire Safety Commissioner Jim Beck on multiple counts of wire and mail fraud and money laundering. He surrendered to the Federal Bureau of Investigations on Wednesday morning. You know, I keep thinking if the FBI could do the college enrollment scandal, if they could get Jim Beck, I'm for sure we got some areas in, sorry about that, I'm for sure we got some areas in the FBI where we can get some people there in D.C. Beck is accused of stealing more $2 million from Swanee-based, okay, Georgia Underwriters Association, okay, while he worked for the association for 5 years before becoming elected as the insurance commissioner in November. The indictment against Beck, who took office earlier this year, includes 38 counts. There are 12 counts of wire fraud, 12 counts of mail fraud, and 14 counts of money laundering. And this is why, while he was with the Georgia Underwriters Association. Now, one of the reasons that the governor has asked Beck to resign is because the insurance commissioner has to work with the Georgia Underwriters Association, which would not be appropriate, obviously, and he cannot do that. So there's no way he can actually do his job. So let's go just for a second. We're going to play two small areas in the debate that day. Let's go to the first one on 16 minutes and 15 seconds.
Brian, that the budget hasn't been keeping up with pace. There's a special fraud fund that was created for one particular purpose, and that was to combat insurance fraud. That fraud fund, at last time I looked, constituted about 5% of the headcount and about 3% of the payroll. But it serves, that money is dipped into to cover 52% of the operating budget. 52%. So it'd be no different if you and I had a hot dog and an ice cream shop and an ice cream shop.
All right, what Beck's talking about there is there's a fraud fund at the insurance commissioners on the budget, okay, that Ralph Hudgens was using the fraud fund for different things. We'll leave it there, for different things, and it was not going to investigations. The state insurance commissioner's office needs more money in the fraud fund to investigate fraud, insurance fraud. But what I thought was interesting, at the time I'm sitting there with this guy and he's running for office and he's talking about the fraud fund, he knows all along that he's being investigated. Now, these are these are indictments. He's not been convicted. But the FBI was ready to hand these indictments down, okay? And what I like here, and I say it this way, what I like here is they were not and are not afraid of an elected official. They were not being, obviously, the tense when he was a Republican candidate for insurance commission. They didn't spill the beans, but everybody knew it, right? But they were not afraid of him then to do the investigation. And now that he is an elected official, I'm not going to just say because he's a Republican, they are not afraid to indict him and move forward, which I like that because I hope our Attorney General Barr does exactly what he says he's going to do with no fear of repercussions outside of the Clintons. That's a scary thought. Now, let's go to the second. Now, before we get there, let me make this quick. Remember, the Georgia Underwriters Association. Let's go to the second clip in the video of the primary in the debate that Saturday morning.
Yes. Well, I'll address that. So the insurance industry is funding Jim Beck's campaign. He was a lobbyist for Nationwide Insurance Company for a dozen years. We are talking about this file and use law. Let's be clear, in 2008, when that file and use law passed, the one that has taken away from the insurance commissioner the ability to roll back rates that are excessive, Jim Beck was their lobbyist. Jim Beck worked for the Georgia Underwriting Association. It's a state-created insurance company with insurance company CEOs on its board. They charge the highest rates in the state for homeowners insurance. He ran that organization. He received bonuses when the company did well. The insurance industry is funding his campaign because that's all his money has come from, is big insurance companies.
Well, that's just not true.
Okay,
No,
go right ahead. Go right ahead.
First of all, that's just not true. Secondly, let me say this about the Georgia Underwriting Association. Our bylaws say we will charge more because you're only supposed to come to Georgia Underwriting if you can go nowhere else. So they're not charging. We're charging more, yes, because we don't want to become citizens in Florida, where it got so big that the legislature had to get together and issue bonds to bail it out at the end of the day. Let me say this. There are two parts of the law. There's the law and there's the implementation of the law. The 2008 law has not been implemented since Commissioner Hudgens came into power properly. All you have to do is object. You know what they have to do if they object to your objection? Sue you in full conspiracy court. You know what the odds of the insurance company prevailing in a case like that? Minimal. We haven't said no to anything that I can do anything.
Now, I know that's crude audio on that morning. We didn't have we just were doing a shotgun mic off the camera. But Jay Flores points out in that debate that morning, Beck is involved with the creation of the Georgia Underwriters Association, okay? And the Georgia Underwriters Association is actually Georgia's own kind of insurance company. I think it's when you're high risk. I'm not 100%. I don't want to quote something that's not accurate. But the law and the expectations of the law, but Flores brings it up. And, Beck says, let me tell you something about the Georgia Underwriters Association. Beck is indicted today, okay, surrounding $22 million from the Georgia Underwriters Association. At his time there, 12 counts of wire fraud, 12 counts of mail fraud, and 14 counts of money laundering. Georgia Underwriters Association. So what happens? Does he resign? If he resigns, does the governor appoint? Now, my opinion, if he does, the chief of staff in there is former State Senator Josh McCoon, and I would like to see him appointed the insurance commissioner if I had my way. But does the governor appoint, and do we have a special election for a new insurance commissioner? And maybe if we do, the sad part is the Democrats will pay attention. And maybe the sad part is the Democrats will say Republicans knew all along. I'm your host, BKP. We're going to take a little break. We'll be right back. Let's talk about Attorney General Barr, Iran. Let's talk about the abortion law, new law signed into law in Alabama. We got a lot to talk about. Oh, Pennsylvania, Trump, don't even try it. Take us to break.